Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. All right, so picture this. A new manager rolls in, all about that professional look and formal vibes. But here's the twist. The team decides to take it up a notch. Classic cars, black tie suits, the whole shebang. They play along with the manager's obsession with appearances, turning the workplace into a fancy affair. But before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button if you enjoy the content, and ring that notification bell so you never miss a juicy story. New office manager demands full formality. Regrets it when staff takes it to the next level. Background. At the time I was working in accounts. There were 7 of us, plus our office manager. We were part of a larger chain, so occasionally the owner/managing director would visit. Now, our office was located on the outskirts of an industrial estate, and the attire was smart casual. Very relaxed atmosphere, and we had a reputation for being the fun branch. Well, as fun as visiting an accountant can be, anyway. This story starts like so many others, when a new manager comes in. On his first day, Thursday, we can see he's going to be difficult. He turns up in a gleaming BMW, full suit and tie, full-on professional look, attitude to match. At the end of his second day, Friday, he sent a branch-wide memo that he expected us to dress more appropriately. That all staff were to wear full business suits, men with ties, women with ascots. He also complained that the staff cars were too grubby. Our desks were untidy and did not reflect our profession. He also insisted that when referring to each other in phone calls or emails, we call each other Mr. Smith or Miss Jones instead of Larry or Susan. But that has no further bearing in this tale. Now, as I mentioned, we're located on an industrial estate, and the vast majority of our clients were small, self-owned businesses. They already thought we were dressed well because they'd turn up in messy jeans and t-shirts driving beat-up old vans. After work, we all went to the pub without new manager, moaned a bit, but thought he's just flexing his managerial muscles. Humor him and he'll start to relax. The following week, we turned up as requested and had our cars washed, desks somewhat tidier. Everything seems to be going fairly well until the next Friday when we receive another email. To all. Whilst I recognize that there's been some improvement in these staffs and office appearance, I feel there's still significant room for further improvement. As you may know, owner is visiting at 10:30 a.m. on Monday. I expect all staff to wear their best clothing, for desks to be tidy and vehicles to be washed, etc., etc. New manager. Again, we went to the pub. This time we schemed. He wanted a good impression. He'll bloody well get one. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, oh, you just turned up in really nice suits, better than his, and showed him up. We did, but we did much more too. We contacted the cleaner who cleaned our office on Saturdays, asked her if she's okay going overboard on the cleaning. She agrees. Extra work for her means more money for her. One of our clients happens to be in the classic car business, mainly weddings. He's been a client for years, and we get on really well. We ask if we can borrow a couple of cars, as all who needed to drive could all carpool in 2. He agrees his business is quiet so long as we pay for the petrol, which split 7 ways was totally worth it. Roll on Monday morning. A Rolls-Royce Phantom 3 and a Lagonda 1460 meticulously polished are sitting in our car park, sunlight glinting off the bodywork. Inside, the desks are completely clear, the metal bins polished, door handles polished, even our filing cabinet handles and our pencil sharpeners have been polished. It looked better than new. The men are all wearing black tie dinner suits with waistcoats, U.S. tuxedo, with a fresh rose in the buttonhole, sterling silver cufflinks, beards are trimmed or totally shaven, 2 of us even waxed our mustaches, myself being one. Women are in stunning evening dresses, sparkly jewelry, fancy hair, self-styled, didn't waste money on hairdressers. Even brought in a hat stand and placed bowlers and top hats on it for extra fanciness. Essentially, we looked like we were expecting to see the Queen walk in. New manager, NM, pulls up with owner as passenger. You can see them both look briefly puzzled, but they must have assumed that the classic car client must be visiting, so walk in chatting. NM's face drops. He stops mid-sentence. He's the worst dressed, barring the owner who was smart casual, had the scruffiest car and his desk was the messiest. We get eyes that say, if I could kill you all right now, I would. Owner and NM go into NM's office to discuss something. Eventually, owner comes out. NM remains in his office to deal with something. Owner catches one of my colleagues to ask what the hell we're doing. Colleague just pulls up the email and says he insisted we wore our absolute best for you, so we did. Owner stifles a laugh. He can see exactly what we've done. Fortunately, we all knew him and his relaxed attitude, so we knew we'd probably get away with it. He half-heartedly chides us for being petty when NM is coming out of the office. Once owner is gone and NM returns, he writes us a blazing email saying something along the lines of, "You might think you're funny, I don't. If you all want to turn up to work scruffy, go ahead, look unprofessional." We return to our usual casualness the day after, clearly to his disfavor, and after a few weeks, NM transfers to a different branch. Our new manager was one of us lower ranks promoted, so the casual atmosphere continued to reign. NM snubbed us whenever we saw him, which was fortunately rare. I should mention we did try to be nice to him, but he just wanted to keep a professional distance. We got the distinct impression he felt we were beneath him. He made our lives that bit more difficult and really did moan about any small imperfection. If we needed help, he didn't provide it willingly. You get the picture. We didn't set off to become unwelcoming. He made himself unwelcome, hence our behavior. I particularly love this because he could have accepted that you'd got him and joined in the laughing and all the tension would have disappeared. All he had to do was let go of the sense of superiority. And our second story. Do you have any idea who I am? I do. Do you know this man? So this one was years ago and will need a little setup. So for years, I've lived in Kennebunkport in Maine, USA. It's very much a holiday town and gets busy in the summer. Now, as the summer period starts, a very special guest would arrive in Kennebunkport as they had a holiday home at the northern end of town on a small peninsula. The 41st President of the United States, the late George Bush Sr. The flags and banners used to come out, "Welcome back, Mr. President." There were plenty of restaurants in the town, many owned by the same company, and the president used to dine with us a lot. So one day I was wiping down the bar. It was a quiet day and we only had a few people dining. Behind the bar is a huge fish tank so you can see through the tank to the front door. I saw a lady walking across the drive, well-dressed and straightening her skirt. I placed the cleaning stuff under the bar and awaited the lady. Me: "May I help you?" Karen: "I hope so. Is the order ready?" Me: "I'm not aware of any order, but I'll have a check with the kitchen. Can I take your name?" Karen: "You don't even know who the hell I am? What an embarrassment." She would go on to tell me that she was here for an order of oysters and clams for the presidential compound. Now, this wasn't unusual. The president often got complimentary oysters whenever he would dine with us. Plus, we would often send food up to the compound. But it was never this lady, and never a sole person who would pick it up. Certainly not on foot, and we knew the cars they used. I couldn't get a single word in. She berated me for a while. "I'll have your job," or "Is this the disrespectful, shambolic service you always provide?" and the usual crap. Then she spies the gentleman behind me, full suit, very smart, who's come to see what the commotion was all about. Karen flicks her head his way and utters, "You come here?" Karen went into her rant to be stopped 10 seconds in as the man in the suit gestured for her to come through into the back dining area. Suited man: "Madam, will you just step this way, please, and we can resolve this?" Now, I don't work here, but on the other side of the wall, she saw George Bush, Barbara Bush, a few guests who were dining with us. I should mention, though, you probably know, ex-presidents who were in office before 1997 were provided Secret Service agents to protect them and their family for life. Obama brought this back in making George W. Bush the first president to have lifelong security since 1997. One of President Bush's agents was sat in the corner. The other one was the well-dressed man by Karen's side, whom she had incorrectly assumed was my manager. Her face went white as she ran. Sort of. She had heels on. She stumbled and headbutted the front door before stumbling over the driveway like a newborn deer trying to walk for the first time. The president's staff just let her go, simply asking for a copy of the CCTV before they left. According to one of my bosses, the lady was picked up by the sheriff's department, charged and fined a few months later. I think there was some form of fraud charges. I had nothing to do with it after she ran out. Our managers dealt with most of it. Like I said, a larger company owned most restaurants in town. We only got snippets. Apparently attempting to steal products and defraud a business by way of claiming to work for an ex-president of the United States is frowned upon in Maine. So yeah, she didn't work on the president's team. She worked at Walmart in a town called Wells up the coast. Just wanted to try her luck and had probably heard that the president dined here when he was in town. I believe she lost her job there and was arrested and fined a few months later. That's a funny story. And yeah, something like scamming a restaurant that folks usually get away with does attract the attention of the law when you invoke the name of an ex-president. And our last story. How I took on the HOA in court. My at-the-time girlfriend, now wife, rented a townhouse with friends in a community that had an HOA. There was a parking reserved for guests of the tenants. Ironically, parking was always an issue for my wife and her roommate, but always simple for me. I just popped on the visitor's pass and was good to go in that lot. I spent the night probably once or twice a week, and one day I awoke to find my car missing. After some ace detective work, I found out that my 10-year-old, at the time, 5-speed manual transmission Honda had not been stolen, but just towed. When I reached out to the HOA, they told me that there was a provision in the bylaws that said a car could only be parked in a visitor spot for a maximum of 72 hours, and that a board member submitted my car to a list of cars to be towed due to abusing a visitor's pass. They argued the language in the bylaws was such that the total amount of time that a car may be parked in a visitor's lot was 72 hours non-consecutively, i.e. if you park there once a week for 10 hours each week, on the 8th week we're in violation of the policy. This in opposition to the clear purpose of the provision, which is to prevent people from storing their cars in the lot. They summarily denied my request at the next HOA meeting to recover the $150 towing fee. Long story short, I sued them in small claims court and got back the towing fee plus court costs, plus they engaged a lawyer, so I feel good about wasting some of their retainer as well. This whole thing just shows how sometimes HOAs stick too hard to the rules, causing unnecessary problems. It's a reminder for HOAs to be fair and reasonable in how they enforce things. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.